European leaders held an emergency meeting in Paris to discuss Russia and Ukraine. This is after feeling excluded from U.S. negotiations with Russia. In fact, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says the U.K. is ready and willing to deploy troops to Ukraine to help broker a peace deal. The big question today is, what does a realistic approach to ending this war look like for everyone? So here to help answer that is Brent Sadler. He's a former Pentagon official and retired U.S. Navy captain. And Bill Roggio, he's a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and a U.S. Army veteran. We appreciate both of you being here for this discussion. You know, I think I'll start with you, Bill. The characterization of the peace negotiations so far between the United States and Russia, to the extent that they have begun, wherein there's been some acknowledgement, at least publicly, that the Ukraine will not be invited into NATO, and that Russia will probably have to retain some lands already taken in Ukraine. For many, says appeasement, weakness. What do you say to those who look at that starting point of negotiations and say, you've already given in to Putin?
Well, first of all, President Trump did indicate today that Vladimir Zelensky will be participating in the talks in some way. For those that say that giving ground to Russia today would be appeasement, these talks should have begun years ago. It was always a mistake to think that the Ukrainians could have the upper hand. No amount of weapons that we were going to pump in or money that we were going to pump into Ukraine was going to cause the Ukrainians to defeat the Russians and drive them out of the country. That was a fantasy from the beginning. Unless the U.S. and NATO are willing to commit boots on the ground and commit hardware on the ground, their own hardware, and go toe-to-toe with the Russians, some type of accommodation is going to have to be made. I don't like it. I don't like giving in to Putin. But if you think that they were going to lose ground today, wait till next week, wait till next month, or wait till the end of the year, and the Russians are going to take more ground. It's just the harsh reality of this war is that the Ukrainians are outmatched in manpower and in resources, that the Russians are committed to this war, and they could sustain this war.
It seems like a realist point of view. And so I would ask then in response, is the goal to, and I'll go to my other guest on this, is the goal to win all-out war? Is it if not accepting this as a realist position to start, is the goal to go full war, to put whatever resources are necessary, like Keir Starmer is saying in the UK, to bring in troops if necessary to win this, if necessary, Brent?
Well, thanks. I mean, the bigger picture here is actually the U.S. having to deter an increasingly aggressive China. And so looking at this wider context, I think getting this war to end and to stop the killing is certainly a U.S. priority so that we can refocus and restock our armory for deterring China. And heaven forbid if we have to, 2027 is an often quoted year of maximum danger. Go to war, go toe-to-toe with the Chinese that we are not ready for. So there is a bigger picture here, a bigger fight that we need to deter. Having the Europeans coming together and continuing to be at least seemingly willing to continue to grow their defense spending, which is well past due, and to put skin in the game, so to speak, to ensure it uphold whatever peace comes out of these negotiations going forward. It's a good thing, but we are in the early stages, and we're just getting the contours of what's probably going to be a long, drawn-out process.
But, Brent, I want to be clear. It sounds like then you agree with Bill that this is the realist starting point that you have to begin with in order to bring peace in this area.
Absolutely. I mean, we need to take a realistic approach to things on the ground. I think there is a very high probability that it's going to get much more violent before it gets better. I mean, both sides have to agree that they are out of the fight, or that they are at a point at which the value or the cost of continuing this war is too high. And it's really the Russians that have to be convinced of that. I think the Ukrainians understand that this attritional war is not one that they can sustain. And there's no prospect of any European NATO country or the United States putting forces into this fight. That's still a very realist perspective. And again,
right.
Ceding territory doesn't mean that you have to acknowledge or accept that that territory is a part of Russia. That, after all, for decades, the free world did not acknowledge or recognize Russia's annexation of the Baltic states.
So, Bill, what do you make of the European powers calling this emergency meeting today? They seem very concerned about the United States and the beginning of this peace process that we're discussing right now. This, what we three have just discussed as a starting point, a realist starting point, seems unacceptable to much of the neoconservative American view, but also to the European power view.
Well, if the Europeans don't like it, then perhaps they should raise their defense budgets. Perhaps they should produce the weapons and arm them and put their own troops on the ground in Ukraine. One of my biggest problems with this war is that it's been sold as an existential war for, a threat to the European continent. And I can agree with that to an extent, but the Europeans never treated this as an existential threat. They wanted the United States to do the heavy lifting. And now they're learning that the United States isn't going to do the heavy lifting here, and that the Europeans might actually have to do something on their own. And that's why the Europeans are in a tizzy over all of this, and they should be. But, I think that the chickens are coming home to roost finally for the Ukraine war for the Europeans. They've talked a good talk, but they haven't backed it up. They've relied on the United States to take the lead. And, again, I foresaw this outcome from the very beginning. The Russians always had the advantages. Unless we were going to risk a potential World War III, this was the outcome that was going to come. And the Europeans, right, they own this. There should have been some type of an accommodation with the Russians early on. That was the best chance for the Ukrainians to lose the least amount of territory.
I think this is a fascinating conversation from both of your perspective. I think it's a realist position where the alternative is either a long, protracted Vietnam-style war in that region or, to your point, a zero-sum game, pure World War III to beat back the Russians. This seems to be the realist point of view from which to start. Brent, Bill, thank you for this discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.